Everybody, David Ellefson here.
And Chris Broderick, and we play with Megadeth.
And we're here with the Music Zoo with Jackson Guitars. So I've got a few different signature basses with Jackson, and this is actually the fourth one that we've rolled out now. The Kelly Bird design, when we were on tour, I guess back in about 2010, 2011, I remember we had a bass that we made that had like kind of a cool, you know, that Thunderbird kind of look, you know, and I really liked it. But I thought, how do we make it more of a Jackson, you know, get some more Jacksonisms in it? So we put the Kelly horn down here on the bottom from the Kelly guitar, which is a traditional Jackson instrument. And then we kept some of these other things much more, kind of traditional with, old school rock and roll bass, and of course kept the headstock. The 5 in a line works really well. I like the tension on the strings with the 5 in a line like that. We put the maple fingerboard on here, which really has a nice pop to it. Block inlays rather than the kind of traditional Jackson shark fin inlays on there. We put two EMG pickups on it, a nice high mass bridge, and we did a bolt-on. The bolt-on adds like a nice punch to it. I use this during sometimes the intro of the show. Other times I use it at the end, songs like Peace Sells, which is a very definitive bass intro, so I want the notes to really pop, so having the bolt-on works. And we did the two-tone. This is not actually a raised piece, it's flat, but we did the two-tone color on it, which is something that's a part of both the 4-string and the 5-string Kelly Bird bass. So the new 5-string is available now. Great bass, awesome tree that they cut down to make a killer bass, man. It rocks. Many years ago I had a guitar tech, and I was arguing with him about how all things that rock come from points. And he said, yeah, but all things that sound good come from curves. So, and I thought about that with many traditional basses. They're usually these kind of P bass, J bass type of shapes, and quite honestly, a lot of great tone comes from them, and that's what my concert basses are with Jackson. But I wanted something rock and roll. I wanted something that I can hang a little lower, I can lift up higher, whatever my strap position is on it, and I know it's gonna look cool. As a metalhead, as a rock and roll fan myself, I know that when I have an instrument that looks cool, I generally want to pick it up and play it more. As shallow as that may sound, that's kind of how we are as rock and rollers, So I wanted a bass that my fans and young musicians, that when they pick that thing up and they have it in their house, they're going to want to have it out, And when they open the case, they go, man, I love that bass. It looks great. So, to have the shape that fits the body well, but something that hangs low, to me the thing, it looks like it's in motion, It looks like it's got some forward motion to it. And that to me is just a big part of Jackson. It's a very high octane, high performance type of instrument, so thus the shape of the Kelly Bird. For me playing metal, and especially in Megadeth, the active pickups are they're pretty fundamental, because a lot of the, especially in Megadeth, the guitar tone is Marshall, which has a lot of mid-range. It takes up a lot of that mid-range sound. So if I use a passive instrument, it's going to get right in there, and the bass it gets a little funky. It almost rubs it a little bit. So years back on my original Jacksons in the late 80s, I started getting into the active electronics and their active circuitry. And those pickups don't exist anymore, and so EMG was always a pickup that I really liked. It's very high-end, high-fidelity type of pickup. And so in about the mid-90s, I moved over and started using EMG on pretty much every instrument that I've owned since then. Sits good in the mix of the band, gives a nice, good, solid bottom end, but it's scooped out. I scooped the tone. What's nice with EMG is that there's little tone pots in there that you can kind of custom dial your tone up. And so I scoop out a lot of those mids, so I get out of the way of our guitars where that Marshall tone is, and then I add a nice top, kind of clicky high end on there, so you can really hear it. You can hear the note. To me, I like when the kick drum beater hits, there's like this concussion, but right behind it is where I come. I'm the bass note. I'm the note behind the cannon, So and that's where really, for me, the EMGs give me a really nice solid pitch that doesn't get in the way of the guitars, but really sits well with the drums. So the 5-string is just it's my workhorse, quite honestly. So I try to have these necks not be real wide. Certain basses, certain players like wide spacing. I like it to be a little narrower. To me, you can kind of fly a lot faster. A lot of our stuff is pretty progressive playing, so I like it to be thinner. It also works well. That's why our bridges that we designed accommodate that same type of spacing. And for me, especially being a pick player, it works real nice for the spacing. So the concert bases that we have rosewood and ebony boards on the custom shop ones, rosewood on the production models, and on the Kellybirds we put the maple neck, just because it's got just a different color to it. It pops really good. And this bass, believe it or not, even though it looks like it's probably really neck heavy, I personally moved this strap button down here, but even right here, this thing balances really good, as you can see. It doesn't usually, when a strap button gets too far back from about the 12th fret, they start to dip and get neck heavy. But we really did a good job balancing the weight of the wood on the neck, and then we can still have the length out here, and this thing sits out like a battle axe, but it balances well. It's not an instrument where you take your hands off and the thing falls to the floor. So balance and playability and string spacing are all things that come into consideration when designing a neck for me on these Jackson instruments. My relationship with Jackson guitars started back in, I guess, about 1987. Went out to actually meet Grover Jackson, the man behind the name, and he made for me my very first concert bass. And was a phenomenal bass, just sounded great, sat so good in the Megadeth sound of the group. And so I continued playing their instruments for many years, and then fast forward a bunch of years, and the Jackson brand now made in some different facilities. My first, the Rust in Peace 20th anniversary concert basses that we did were a very, very high-end custom shop thing made out of the Corona custom shop in Corona, California. And those were really, it was a collector's piece. We did a limited run of those. And for me, as nice as it is to have expensive basses, for me, I look at instruments or tools, and if you can't afford them, you're not going to play them. So we made a more affordable version, the CBX 5-string. That the Quicksilver is a special color that we came up that is now only on my instruments, on the David Ellefson model Jackson basses. So we have both a black and a Quicksilver version, because black is always very metal, it's good. And so, we started with the 20th anniversary high-end custom shop, then we went to the CBX, which is in the hundreds of dollars, so it's very affordable, I think, for most all players. And then we moved into the 4-string Kellybird and now the 5-string Kellybird. So there's really 4 different models now available. And again, we got both points and curves, so whatever your fancy is, we've got something, I think, for everybody.